When the market figures this out, the price of gold will go to $2,384. I may be off by $1 or $2. You can bash me in the comment section below. But nobody's talking about this except the smartest people, and we're going to talk about it right now. When the hens come home to roost. Did your mom ever have sayings that she would say to you when you were growing up? My mom would say that one. She'd come in my room and flip my lights on and say, "Up and at 'em with a burning fate," blah, blah. I forget how the rest of it went. Nonetheless, when the hens come home to roost, gold and silver are going to skyrocket. We've got a little problem here in the United States, and it's called basic arithmetic. Yes, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Imagine if you had a son who's 20 years old. He's going to Las Vegas. You know he likes to drink, he likes to gamble, and before he leaves, you give him your American Express card. Say, "Here, son, just in case you get into a jam, I want you to have this in case of an emergency." That's essentially what's gone on with this increase in the debt limit, the debt ceiling here in the United States. And we're going to talk about how mathematically now the country is getting to a point where things are going to catch up. The hens are coming home to roost, and why that's so good for the price of gold and silver. So now, here in the United States, we find ourselves in a situation where we need to raise trillions of dollars. Yes, Janet Yellen drained the United States of money, so the government is going to have to issue debt. They're going to need to suck in, some people are saying, $1.5 trillion in a very short period of time. Where's that money going to come from? Because remember, the world is now snubbing U.S. debt because they know how to look at financial conditions, and they're not real impressed when they look at the balance sheet, the financial condition of the United States. So foreigners are saying, we're not real interested, right? That money's going to get sucked out of the U.S. economy, but it likely won't be enough, and that'll result in interest rates going higher. That'll make the value of the bond market go down. Interest rates will go higher. Now think about this. That will have a major negative impact on what's already a very fragile banking environment in the United States. We know what happened to gold and silver when we had that little banking crisis about 8 or 9 weeks ago. What do you think will happen if interest rates shoot up by another 1 or 2%? Well, it's going to leave the government with not many options. Not to mention, what will those higher interest rates do to corporations that have tons of debt that they need to refinance over and over? It will send them into a tailspin. Heck, we've got 20% of the companies in our country that are zombies. They were living off this zero interest rate environment. If rates go much higher, we're going to see a big wave of bankruptcies, not to mention individuals, people like you and me. Americans on average have $5,000 in credit card debt, not to mention mortgage debt, car debt, all the debt. All of that at higher interest rate levels becomes unmanageable. So what's the solution? What happens? Well, the Fed has to step in, kind of like they did in Japan. The Fed has to kind of come in and say, "Hey guys, we'll help you out. We'll buy some of those treasuries." But when they do that, what are they doing? Yes, you got it. They're printing more money. They're diluting the currency, right? It's like a hamster wheel, or however you want to think about it. At the end of the day, they're making the dollar less valuable because they're printing money to buy debt. Now, look, this has not been announced. It's just what we see, what a lot of the smartest people in the room see when they evaluate the current situation. Think about the fact that when the Fed prints money to keep interest rates from going out of control, they're lowering the interest rate. But at the same time, that printed money creates more huge inflation. What do we get when the inflation rate is much higher than the interest rates? We have negative real interest rates. People don't talk about that much now like they did maybe a year or 2 years ago. But in that environment, much like stagflation, that's the most fertile soil for the gold price and the silver price. Now, our government could always become frugal and austere, cut things like Social Security, maybe the defense budget, but the odds of that happening are next to nothing. If we look back at 5,000 years of history, any other fiat money-based system that got into the same situation, and there have been many, many of them, the politicians always resort to the easy, softer way, the short-term solution, printing money. I don't know, guys. Do you think maybe we should send a calculator to Washington, D.C.? There doesn't seem to be any calculators in that geographical area. And why won't the politicians make the hard decisions? Real simple, because they're beholden to the current system. They don't want to jeopardize their jobs. They don't want to jeopardize their interests they have in seeing things go on, even if on a long-term basis, it's a horrible idea for the country. That's why we hold silver and gold. They've seen this monkey show many times in the history, and they've maintained their value. They'll continue to do that. Go watch a live stream. I'll see you next time.